Hello and welcome to a special on-location edition of All Things Aviation and Aerospace. I'm Vince Mickens, and today we are back at Vaughn College in Flushing, New York, which just happens to be located directly across from LaGuardia Airport. Now, there are a lot of cool things to say about Vaughn College, but for me, one of the coolest is the view from its mock tower that provides a bird's eye view of the entire airport over there. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. You can see it behind Steve. Vaughn College, which is known for aeronautics and technology, specializes in aviation and engineering education. But my main reason for returning to Vaughn this go around is their most recent groundbreaking accomplishment of being designated by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, as an official air traffic controller workforce resource via the Enhanced Air Traffic Collegiate Training Initiative. I know somebody's going, hey, I can't believe it. He said it. He didn't stumble or anything. better known as ATCTI. Now, that one I could have easily messed up. This initiative is designed to expand the pipeline for air traffic controllers in an accelerated fashion. And as you've probably heard, the Federal Aviation Administration recently hit a significant milestone for this fiscal year, reaching its hiring goal of just over 2,000 controllers. That said, the ATCTI will have an even more significant impact as it expands to other colleges and universities. We'll talk a lot more about that in a little bit. The other related news is that the FAA is requesting proposals from vendors to replace its traffic flow management system with a new platform of technology that will support the need for our increasingly complex airspace. So with all that said, let me introduce my guests here at Vaughn College today. As you can see, they're located in some key areas of the school, and some of them are plugging away with some aviation education as we speak. My lead guest is Dr. Sharon DeVivo, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Vaughn College since 1996. Dr. DeVivo is the 7th president, but most notably, the first women president of Vaughn. Sharon is sitting in Vaughn's Air Traffic Control Radar Lab, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about that in a bit. She has a long list of accomplishments that would take up the entire show, so we're going to skip over that and let her tell you about some of her background a little bit later. But most notably, what Sharon has done here at Vaughn College over the last nearly 30 years, it's been absolutely amazing, and the accomplishments keep coming, and the expansion and the growth of her programs and things like that. And Sharon doesn't even look a day over 29. Sharon.
Checks in the mail. Checks in the mail.
Welcome back to All Things Aviation and Aerospace.
Thrilled to be here, and so happy to have you back on campus, Vince. We get to see each other quite a bit at different aviation functions, and it's really nice to have you here and to have students see you live and in action.
Yeah, thank you. It's really great to be here. I always enjoy coming to the school. I'll admit the fact that it's across from LaGuardia Airport does kind of help, but I know I really enjoy. I walk through here and I see the enthusiasm and the interest that the kids have, and that in itself is very welcoming and a lot of fun. So it's really great to be here. But thank you. And longevity does seem to be a thing here at Vaughn, because the next guest I'm about to introduce, well, he's been here about as long as Dr. DeVivo. Domenic Prosaic. Dom, that's who he's affectionately known as, here on campus. He's the vice president of training. I just found out in talking to him in pre-show that Dom actually went to this school. He was an adjunct before, coming on board full-time and everything. So he's been around for a minute. I'm not going to compliment him with the age thing, because, guys just don't do that. But I'm just messing with you, Dom. But Dom has a rich history here at Vaughn, and overall in aviation education. Dom, it's great to have you back on All Things Aviation and Aerospace.
Thank you so much, Vince. So happy to be here. Happy to see you on campus.
Yeah, thank you. And then we have what's called the OG, original, Steve Fanno. Steve, who is an adjunct professor and air traffic simulator instructor. He teaches air traffic control classes like you see going on behind me in reference to the Enhanced Air Traffic Collegiate Training Initiative. appropriately. Steve is up in the air. I call it the Vaughn Air Traffic Control Tower mock-up. It's just a great view that he has behind him of LaGuardia Airport, and it's really good. And speaking of backgrounds, Steve he worked at LaGuardia Tower and before transferring to New York TRACON, which stands for Terminal Radar Approach Control Facility. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you for having us, and welcome to Vaughn.
Yeah, thanks. Always great to be here. I'd rather be up in the tower there with you, but all good.
Well, we had students up here a few minutes ago. They thought I was actually talking to the airplanes.
Oh my God.
That's great.
Oh, that's priceless, actually. But the stars of our show today are two current students. One of them is working on his Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering Tech with an emphasis in avionics. His name is Alejandro Quinones. Alejandro, looking forward to graduating in May of 27?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just can't wait to see what the future brings for me. It's been, quite a uphill climb. So we'll see where it takes me, I guess.
From
But
what I hear, you're
I'm happy
doing
to
just
be here.
yeah. From what I hear, you're doing just fine, and you are in the UAV lab. So,
Indeed.
pardon me.
I said indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we'll see some activity going on behind you while we're doing this show. So that's great. And then over in the robotics lab, we have Richard Cleveland. Richard is pursuing his Associated Applied Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering Tech, and he's planning on graduating next May in 2026. Richard, welcome to All Things Aviation and Aerospace.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, I'd like to kick this off before we get into some of the nitty gritty of some of the opportunities here at the school. Sharon, how about giving us a little bit of an overview as the president and CEO of the school and, what you guys are doing and what your goals are?
Yeah, so we were founded in 32, so not too far from our 100th anniversary as an institution. And we're founded by some great aviation pioneers. We've actually been in New York City since 41 when Fiorello LaGuardia, the great mayor, invited us to be here. And for most of our history, aviation maintenance training has really been our premier program. And then in the late 90s, we started to add flight, airport management, engineering. And so today we're about half maintenance training, half everything else, right? So about 300 students in flight, 300 students in engineering programs, another 150 roughly in airport management. And then we've got about 750 students in our aviation maintenance training. And I have that's live in action classrooms.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so today we offer master's, bachelor's, associates, and certificate programs in all aspects of aviation, engineering, management, and technology. Really awesome student body, primarily from New York City, not originally from New York City. There are very few people originally from New York City. First generation college students, oftentimes first generation Americans, if that, right? Queens is the most diverse county in the country. And so we have always reflected the latest immigrant wave to New York City. So today we're roughly 35% Hispanic, 20% Black, mostly Caribbean, 14% Asian, mostly Southeast Asian, and just awesome population, mostly from under-resourced communities. And we are the best institution in the country at moving students from the bottom 20% in income to the top. And that's not just a reflection of the education we provide, it also reflects the awesome industries that our students go into. So whether it's a great job as an air traffic controller, which we're going to talk about quite a bit, I saw maintenance technician starting salaries, 80 to 90,000 with a regional airline in our area, which is incredible, or engineering positions, right, which anywhere from 80 to 125,000. Our students and their families are looking for value and return on investment. And we can absolutely prove that when we can give them evidence of best in the country at moving them to an economic place that provides for a lifetime of opportunity for themselves and for their families.
Dom, tell us a little bit about from your perspective. First of all, the fact that you went here a while ago, we'll say, and all the things that you've done, and now you're overseeing the education aspect of the school.
Oh, it's awesome. I grew up not too far from Vaughn. I grew up in Astoria, kind of close to the flight path of the aircraft landing into LaGuardia. So my friends and I would get on our bikes and watch the airplanes take off, and there was the Academy of Aeronautics back then, which turned into the College of Aeronautics and now Vaughn College. So the desire to get into this industry started very young. I wanted to go to aviation high school, which was school. That's where a lot of my friends ended up going. My dad pushed me away from it, and I had going. After going for a career in computer science, working in that industry, I needed to do what I wanted to do. So I was lucky enough to come back to school, graduate through their programs, and got my first jobs working at museums, working at aircraft museums, going into industry, working in manufacturing, components, then returning to the place that taught me to be able to give that back to our students. It's been an awesome pathway here.
Yeah. Steve, tell us a little bit about you and your air traffic control background and how you got on board here at Vaughn.
Sure. So I basically started my aviation path way back a long time ago and went and got my degree in aerospace technology, originally thinking I wanted to fly commercially. However, after I started to fly, I got my private and I decided I don't think I want to do this for a living. And talk about right place, right time. I happened to have my first full-time job out at Suffolk County Airport in West Hampton Beach, now known as Gabreski. They had a private control tower out there that was run by the county of Suffolk County. And I became very friendly with the people who worked there. Most of them were from the military. They would use that as a bridge to go from the military to the FAA. And as luck would have it, the Air National Guard that was at the base needed additional people in the control tower because their mission had changed. And while I was working at the airport, the controllers used to invite me up after the shift, and I would go up almost every night and spend time with them. And they started teaching me about air traffic control, and I really liked it. And because of the sudden need of 3 or 4 more people, they said, "Why don't you just hire this guy?" And he said, "Well, I don't know if I can. No aviation background, no air traffic," and they did, and the rest is history for me.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to get into the FAA and moved along in the FAA. My first facility was the control tower, and then I transferred to LaGuardia Tower, and then New York TRACON for a short period of time, and then unfortunately was involved in the work stoppage or the strike in 1981. So I did lose my job as one of the 13,000 controllers that did, and in 1996, I had the opportunity to be rehired because the President Clinton decided that they needed more controllers, which they did, and he opened a pathway for us to reapply. And I was lucky enough to be rehired and spent the rest of my career at the New York TRACON. Shortly after retiring, I received a phone call from someone at Vaughn, and they asked if I would be interested in coming into the simulator room and start working in a simulator. Been there ever since.
Have anything to do with all of the experience that you have in air traffic control? No, I'm messing with you. Sharon, about earlier last year, I went to an air traffic control conference and learned for the first time about this thing called CTI, this Collegiate Training Initiative, and then heard about the Enhanced Collegiate Training Initiative and met the gentleman at FAA that actually oversees that program. And then I get a call from you this year saying, "Hey, Vince, guess what? We are about to be approved for the ATCTI." And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then the next call I got is, "Hey, Vince, we got approved." Tell us all about that and tell us about this program that you guys are so proud to be able to implement.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dom and Steve, feel free to jump in if I forget anything. So the CTI program, the original basic program, has been around since the 90s. Vaughn is one of the original 13 that was approved. And for a very long time, what we would teach is the basics, right? ATC 1, ATC 2, weather. We also added a requirement some years later for our students to take our first flight course just to give them that feeling for what the other side of the mic is like. And so students would, up until about 2013, could receive a recommendation from us, go take the standardized test, ATSA test. And if they got a call up, they were able to skip if they wanted to, they were able to skip this first 6 weeks of training. And then due to COVID and retirements, so the FAA Academy closed during COVID, the hiring problems really started, right? So the FAA looked at adding a program that would expand the number of academy seats. So the way that it used to work, the only way to become an air traffic controller was to go to the FAA Academy in Oklahoma City. They needed more seats. They just don't have the throughput. And so adding institutions like Vaughn that already had simulation equipment, already had instructors who were retired controllers, already had students who were interested and maybe didn't want to go to Oklahoma to do their training, could do all of that at Vaughn and then move directly to a facility. It's an awesome opportunity if you don't want to leave your family, if you've got kids, if you've got partners, if you don't want to leave your part-time job. It gives you an awesome opportunity to do all that in the place where you've chosen to go to school for an extra semester. There are other pathways that we can get into that if you don't want to do a degree or didn't take your basics with us, that you might have to stay longer than that. But for the most part, for many of our students, this means I'll do all my training in the same location. And we have to, our faculty did an incredible job. Steve, Dom, Ron Ruggieri, our department chair for aviation, did an amazing job. It took them almost a year, right? Because we have to replicate everything that they do at the academy. This is not a bypass the academy. This is just bring the academy to New York, right? So everything we do has to meet their standards.
And this wasn't an overnight thing. This started really more than 10 years ago when our senior leadership made the decision to go into the simulation band. So big advocates of innovative thinking back then. We got into simulation and we really honed our skills for about 10 years before this opportunity happened, where they opened it up for us to replicate Oklahoma City, what they were doing down there. So
yeah, great point.
So we've been at this. We've been at it, and just so happy they decided to flip the switch.
Yeah, and if this wouldn't have been possible 10 years ago because this technology didn't exist to do this, right? The advancement in technology is really what's allowing us to provide that very similar experience to what they'd have at the academy.
Yeah.
High fidelity simulation system.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they can do.
Thanks for sharing that, Dom, and bringing that point up. Steve, let me go to you. And I mean, you've been in air traffic control, you've been in the tower, you've been on the scope, you've seen it all, and you've seen it over a number of years. What's your take on this new initiative and the opportunity to do this versus having to go all the way out to Tulsa?
Oh, I was going to jump in, but I'm glad you gave me the path to get in.
Tulsa.
I think, yeah, it's Oklahoma, Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Right.
Oh, my bad.
I think the educational path this way is much different and much greater for the student. If you go to the Oklahoma Academy and you go for the tower option, that's what they select you for. You have 3 months of training. Here, you have years of training to get you acclimated, to get you ready for this type of program. And our program is spread out a little more in time. And like Sharon said, the student can stay at home. They don't have those issues. I know a student who graduated a number of years ago, and he finally got his offer letter, and they finally ready to hire him, and he couldn't go because he just bought a house. and he was so deeply financially involved that he had to turn the FAA down. And it was a real shame because this would have probably been a successful student. Had he been able to come to this program, he would have been able to stay at home, run through the program. He had already graduated, so he would do what Sharon referred to earlier as the certificate program, which is basically a 12-month program that the FAA has authorized for those students who have graduated. But I think the educational experience with all of our students, not only do we get to know them over the years, not just 3 months, we get to know who needs a little more, who needs a little less, and as my colleague Roy would say, natural. Uh, there are some people who are natural at this, but not everybody is. So we get the chance to work with them and turn them into something. So I think through the college is a great experience, and it's just a unique opportunity
Yeah.
for not only our students but any other college students.
Yes, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit more specifics about this program in terms of, what it entails, how you can get involved in it, et cetera?
Okay, I could tell you the program. I guess Sharon or Dom could tell you about the procedural side, but
Sure.
basically you have to take the basic CTI courses first, which are our ATC 1, our ATC 2, and our ATC weather classes. That can be done over 2 semesters generally. And then you would be eligible to go into the enhanced program, which is the more advanced, the brand new program we have. We've basically, like Sharon said, duplicated everything they will do at the academy. All the training that we will do academically is right from the academy. The scenarios that we had to build were built off templates that they prepared for us. And then the actual evaluations, which is what we were actually evaluated on, are from the academy. They were either used at the academy in the past or they're still using them now. And that's the actual things that the students have to pass at the end of the enhanced CTI.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
there's absolutely no difference from what a student experiences here and what they would experience in Oklahoma City. The big difference is they get to stay at home and they get to spread out that training into more manageable chunks, and they get that interaction. We're always open for you. You know, we're here to support you as you go through it. But at the end, it's the same program.
Yeah, there's sort of three ways you can think about this, right? You've got the basic CTI program, right? So you can do that through 11 different degree programs, associates or bachelors. That's where you're taking that ATC 1, ATC 2, weather, and the flight course. And then you can take the ATSA and choose to go to the FAA Academy. That's sort of one path. Then you've got this enhanced path, which allows you to do everything you would do at the Academy, but do it at Vaughn. And then there's a third way that we're in the process of waiting for approval, which is called the CTO option, right? This is where you would go to a contracted tower. This would be perfect for students who, because the requirements are that you be called up by your 31st birthday, let's say you find out about air traffic control when you're 30 and a half, and there's not actually enough time to get your training done. You could take this route of going to a contract tower. You heard Steve talk about the fact that he started at a contract tower. This is a non-FAA tower. Then you have up to 35 with experience to then choose to get back into the FAA, or you could stay at the contract tower, right? So there's sort of three different ways to do this, and it's really about that student, their circumstances, where they are in their life, things they, how old they are, what their family situation is, to choose the best pathway for them.
And you're 100% right, Karen, because it gives everyone options. And that's what we like for all of our students, because they have a little bit of control over their future.
Mhm.
Yeah. I want to come talk a little bit more about it, but we have two students here that are in a couple of programs that I think it's really important to point out what they're also doing. So why don't we go ahead and I'll start with you, Richard. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here at Vaughn and what your goals are.
Thank you. Well, I am the vice president of robotics right now. I am preparing for the for the event in November. We're going out to Mexico to compete. And we're just ready to compete. We're getting a bot set up, we got the field set up. I don't know if you see it, but
Yeah, we can see a little bit of it behind you. Yeah, you guys have Vaughn has won a number of robotics competitions over the years. Competitions. Yeah.
Yeah, we were 2016 world champions, and we've been back to the finals every year since. We compete in VEX, so there's sort of two competition organizations. One is FIRST, that's K through 12, and then VEX does K through 12, actually pre-K through 12, including colleges and universities. And so the team will compete throughout the year in a prescribed 12 by 12 field. They will build the robots, design their engineering notebook, test, go to Oklahoma, compete against other teams throughout this region and in Oklahoma. We've been going to, sorry, not Oklahoma, Mexico for a few years. And we will learn over the course of that year what works, what doesn't work. They will 3D print a lot of the parts. And I would anticipate, although it's never a sure thing, that we'll be back to the finals. I think it's April, early May, right, Richard?
Yeah.
So, and it's an awesome opportunity to take the learning in the classroom and apply it to a robot, troubleshoot, figure things out. You watch the robots get more sophisticated as students move through their programs. And you don't have to be a robotics engineering student, as Richard is evidence of that, right? He's learning about electronics, right? Because a lot of times it's like, oh, well, it's only the robotics students that are involved. But it's our maintenance students get involved, our management students get involved in both clubs. These two clubs are across the hall from each other, and you will watch students drift back and forth between both spaces that we give them, whether it's for UAVs or for robotics.
So Richard, how did you get involved? How did you pick Vaughn? How did you end up at Vaughn?
Oh, well, I had a 6-year program, right? It started in my high school. It was offered by Vaughn, right? I do 4 years in high school, finish high school, and then I do this for 2 years to get my associates. So when I finish these 2 years, actually right now, I get my associate's degree and my high school degree. It's a 2-in-1, and I don't need to pay anything. So it's really nice.
Yeah.
This is a state-funded program did you go to Freeport or Union?
Yeah, Freeport.
Yeah, Freeport High School out on Long Island. And so it's state-funded. We provide coursework while they're in high school. Then they do coursework at Vaughn and get some high school diploma and an associate's degree. And Richard's a great example of that. Richard, are you part of the first cohort of students to go through this?
Yeah, I am the first. Yeah, I am the first. Yeah.
That's terrific.
And the president of robotics. How about that?
Vice president.
Vice president. Oh, I'm sorry. I promoted you. Alejandro's like, man. Speaking of Alejandro, tell us a little bit about what you're doing. You are in the UAV
club.
UAV club. Thank you very much. How about telling everybody what UAV stands for?
Uncrewed aerial vehicle.
There you go. There's so many different acronyms for around the same thing. I thought I'd let you tell us. Tell us about what you're doing and what you're doing there.
So currently we're working towards our 2 competitions, AIAA and VFS. AIAA is quite a long name. It's American Aeronautics. Ryan, what's AIAA stand for?
American Institution of Aeronautics and Astronautics.
American Institution for Aeronautics and Astronautics, and VFS stands for Vertical Flight Society. And the AIAA competition is a worldwide competition. It's like the grand stage for us, and it focuses on fixed wing and all that. And then the VFS competition is more local, and it focuses on my specialty, the drones you see go up and down and whatnot. That's currently where we're at, what we're working towards. We're in the design phase and, jotting things down and testing currently. So
yeah, what drew you to UAVs?
So like Vaughn, I accidentally stumbled into UAV. I didn't even know this room was here. I had like my scheduling was messed up, and I came in here and I asked the old president and vice president. They're like, oh, email so and so. I did that. I came back and I'm like, hey, that fixed it. What do you guys do here? And they're like, oh, we do this. We build with drones. We 3D print. We CNC. And I was like, that's pretty cool. How can I dabble? And they just started me with like soldering little beads. And now I'm the vice president. So
Yeah, and you said you stumbled on the Vaughn College.
I did. So um to start from the top, I graduated from a trade school in Boston, and I was a trade electrician for a bit in the local 103, the IBW union. It wasn't really for me, so I kind of fell out of that. COVID hit, so I had time to think, and I was like, I had this hunger for knowledge, so to speak. And then my mom's like, "There's this school in New York. You have to. This is school. It's perfect for you. You're good with your hands. You know, you should go. You should go." I'm like, I don't know. I still gotta pick a school. And then she was just in my ear. I'm like, all right, fine, mom. I'll check it out. And now,
So
now
we
I'm
so we
here.
really have
So
to give mom credit.
yeah. Honestly,
Mom
I was.
mom was on your tail about it.
Yeah, she was adamant about this school. She was adamant about this school specifically. I was gonna go to some community college somewhere around here, and then she's like, "No, you have to go to Vaughn. That's the school for you." So
You know,
yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up though, because Sharon, Steve, Vaughn does have that reputation of being kind of the go-to. This is the place that if you have some interest in things that are technical and engineering and aviation, then you need to go to Vaughn College. I've been here enough times. I've been in the lobby and watched people literally walk in off the street and walk up to and say, "I'm interested in this school. What do I do next?" And can you guys talk about that a bit, Sharon and Dom?
I'll start, and Dom, please pitch in here. Right. So part of the reason that we have such an awesome reputation is because of our outcomes, right? So 95% of our graduates are employed or continuing their education within 1 year. 78, I think, was the latest number in terms of in their field, right? And it is very much helped over the last few years in particular that the aviation industry has been telling a tremendous story about demand. Every conference that I go to. In fact, Vince and I were at one about 2 weeks ago where all they talked about was workforce demand. Where are we going to get the people? Where are we going to get the people? And they've also increased salaries pretty significantly in the last few years to try to attract those folks to aviation and related areas. So, and this institution has always had those kind of outcomes, right? In my 30 years here, I think we've only dipped below 90% in terms of employed during COVID, and it was 88, and then it popped right back up. So go ahead, Dom.
I always think about this, and I think our objective is very applied sciences. Our students come through us. They don't only understand theory, but they understand how things work. They really understand how the things work. Where we're simulation based, we're system trainer based. So we break things up into those bite-sized chunks and have them understand systems and components at a smaller level so they can get that critical thinking that's needed for troubleshooting. They can get those professional skills, the technical skills that are required to fill these high-paying jobs. And everything that we put out, everyone that comes through here, the outcomes are high-paying jobs. And, that's the first thing that popped into my mind about this.
Yeah, I'm sure if there's any employers watching this, Richard and Alex will have no problem getting a job because they're sitting in labs where they're troubleshooting, they're designing, they're breaking and rebuilding, and they've got all of that awesome, as Dom said, theoretical and practical knowledge to contribute on a massive scale wherever they end up.
Yeah. You guys are touching on something too that's very important about the opportunities in the industry. The industry is at an all-time high with opportunities. I don't care what you hear in the news about this, that, and the other. If you have an interest in anything that has to do with aviation and aerospace, you're in good shape. There's unlimited possibilities and opportunities out here.
It
Steve,
doesn't stop there.
Pardon?
I was going to say, it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
These skills that they learn here are so transferable. into
Yes.
other jobs. So
Yes.
it's absolutely good. Sorry to
Yeah,
cut you off.
actually, one of the stories I always like to tell is about the person that finished their A&P certification and training and certification, and then got hired by SpaceX. And who would think? But yeah, SpaceX needs people to turn wrenches just as much as anybody else.
Right.
So yeah, there are opportunities that, and to Alejandro's point, you just never know. I mean, he kind of walked by a lab and it's like, oh, what are you guys doing? It's a type of a thing, and now he's, as they say, he's all up in it. So it's it's pretty exciting. I was going to mention earlier, I was talking to Steve in pre-show too, and Steve really lit up when we were talking about this kind of stuff of the students here that discover things and discover aviation and aspects of aviation that they didn't even know existed. Steve, you really got excited when we were talking about that. You want to expand on that for a sec?
Yeah, sure. We meet a lot of students through our program, and most of them, or a good percentage of them, have really no idea what air traffic control is. Sometimes they believe it's the people out on the ramp with the lights directing the plane in. That's the old story, yeah, with the lights or the sticks. However, we generally reach those students as we move along, not only from the classroom, but as Domenic, the emphasis on the simulations is huge in this school. Once they sit down and start doing it, they may have come to the school to become a pilot, or maybe just an airport manager in airport management. All of a sudden, they see that as an option. And of course, we all know it's all over the news about the shortage. Of course, that's great for Vaughn, and since we're enhanced. So I think that the opportunity is there for our students to look at many, many, many different options. That was explained to you earlier. The other thing I wanted to mention too is we have an extremely supportive administration, and I'm not trying to pat them on the back. I mean it. We had a group of
Checks in the mail,
students.
Sharon.
Yeah, right. I can't reach it, Sharon. And
You can give it a May.
But about 2 years ago, we had a number of students who applied for the New York TRACON N90 bid. It was a specific bid for just those students that wanted to go to N90, and they were had to be in the New York area. It was the whole thing, and it took years for the FAA to come out with something like that. It was the first time they ever did it, and we had about, I'm going to say, 8 to 10 of our students that got selected to go for that training. So I went to Domenic, and I went to Ron, and I went to Sharon and said, can we run a radar class specifically geared for the training at that? And there was never any resistance. It would absolutely do what you got to do. We'll even let the students, since they're Vaughn students, just come in and do it.
Yeah.
And it was about a 6 or 8 week program that we did after hours. And I believe out of the students that went there, I'm going to say out of 10, I'm going to say 8 of them succeeded. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty
That's
high bar,
fantastic.
just at the academy. And now, of course, they're in the facility training. So
And we would love to work more closely with the FAA on what we did and to see how those students progress through their training
Yeah.
at the TRACON as well. I think that's a real opportunity to work together to learn, because the washout rate at the TRACON is 65 to 75% of people don't make it through training, right? And so I think if we could work more closely with them on projects like what we did with these 10 students, I think we'd see more graduates be successful, specifically at the TRACON, which is unique to New York.
yeah, so these students actually went to the academy, passed the academy training. But as Sharon brought up, with N90 at New York TRACON, it's 30, 35 miles east of us. Many of the instructors who are here with me, Roy, Christine, Craig, we're all retirees from that facility and spent probably over 100 plus years of experience in the different areas in the New York TRACON. There's no reason why the FAA can't use this as a resource to train. We actually have the New York TRACON airspace in our system, so we can train students directly on it. And some of them want to do it. It's just, oh, show me what it's like. Show me what it's like. We even have students who are training at N90 come back and fool around with our sims for a couple of hours. And there's never been any resistance from the administration. Bring them back. Do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of training, I pulled a couple off of the simulated tower because I can't resist the opportunity to kind of hear what their perspective is. I'm looking for my volume control there. So let me introduce them and let them tell you a little bit about, this is called really impromptu, right? And tell us a little bit about their experience with what they're doing so far with training and things like that. First, I'll introduce Elvira. Elvira, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name, so maybe you can tell us.
Perioslo.
Okay, like I said, Elvira. Anyhow, tell us, you're a student here.
Mhm.
Tell us about your experience. Can you hold this for me?
Sure. So I am a student in the airline management program, but I also am in the ATC
Is she not?
TI program as well.
Hang on, she's not ready.
Yeah.
Can't hear her.
No, we can hear. Her.
Okay,
Yeah,
go
just
ahead.
could be a little louder. Yeah, maybe you held it a little closer to your mouth, Elvira. Yeah, perfect.
All right, my name is Elvira Perioslo. I'm a student in the airline management program. I'm also doing the air traffic control program. So I have a lot of opportunities to come in and out of this lab and learn with some of the best. Let's meet them.
There you go. That probably is better. No, I think they heard you, right?
Yeah, we heard her.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you get interested in this?
In aviation or air
Yes,
traffic control?
all of it.
When I was a really young kid, I was kind of a control freak. I had to learn about the things that I was doing before I got into them. It was my first time flying in a long time, and I was freaking out, truly. So I learned everything about Continental at the time. I read like 85 pages of Skytrax reviews, and then I was flying on the plane, and I opened like the in-flight magazine, and I saw the network and the fleet mix. And I was like, holy crap, why is there so many things to this? I thought I'm just flying a plane to Oregon. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I need to learn more. And I honestly just haven't stopped since then.
Great, thank you. Let me go to, is it Sadia?
Sadia.
Sadia. Oh, I'm so sorry. Anyhow, here you go. Tell us a little about you and being a student and how you got into this.
So I am a junior here at Vaughn. I attended aviation high school prior to coming here. I did kind of end up there by accident. I did graduate with both my A&P licenses, and now I'm studying mechanical engineering here at Vaughn, trying to pursue all the way through this career.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't want to brag anymore.
we find students that have an A&P and an engineering degree are so in demand. Sadia, you're going to have no problem. I mean, especially the OEMs, right? The major manufacturers love that you can travel between the manufacturing floor and the engineering space, and that you can speak both languages. So really terrific. And I love that you're a woman in this field. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm also an e-board for our SWE community of women in engineering. Yes, so I love to be representation for the both of them. And like you said, I'm so excited for my opportunities afterwards after Vaughn.
Yeah, terrific.
Well, this is really great to have you guys. I'll let you go back to your class, but I just had to bring it in there, especially since we're talking about air traffic control. Thank you so much, ladies. All right, didn't see that one coming, huh, Sharon?
That's great. I love it. I love it.
So listen, let's take some time and talk a little bit about the rest of your programs here. You guys actually do a lot of things at this school, and I wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of that. So, Sharon, Dom, tell us a little bit more about everything else Vaughn.
Yeah, Dom, why don't you cover the things that we do, training? Anything training touches, yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about the aviation maintenance program. We have a program. Most of our students run through over about 16 months that prepare them to take the written, oral, and practical exams for the FAA's airframe and power plant certifications. I'm sitting in our maintenance hangar right now, and you probably noticed a bunch of our students behind us. They're working in their operations lab right now. It's an engine run lab. What they're going to be doing is preparing to do maintenance and run-ups on engines. They're at a higher level, so it's a cool place to be. They're all eager and really close together here. We also have dispatcher training. We get into flight training here at the school. We work with a contracted flight partner out of Islip Airport, where we have bachelor's degrees in aircraft operations and sciences, as well as some associate's degrees in those programs. We get our students to get the private engine commercial, sometimes even by multi-engine rating. We are at RATP, Restricted Air Transport School, which really means we can get you into that right seat at the 500 hours sooner than the person who's doing it on their own, because we're such a structured, standardized program that the FAA accepts us into that world.
Yeah, and then you got it. And then we've got 4 different engineering programs: so mechanical, electrical, mechatronic, and computer engineering, along with computer science, and then a variety of engineering technology programs, a little less math and science. That's really the only real difference. And then airline management, airport management, and general management. And then, like I said before, if you're interested in doing air traffic control as well, you can do it as part of 11 different degree programs across the institution. Most students do it through airport management, but it's not unheard of to have an EET student want to do it that way. So yeah, and like you just heard, we have a mechanical engineering student sitting behind you in the lab. It sounds like air traffic's not what she's necessarily going to do for her job, but to have that understanding and sensibility, and to take those early skills with her into her career field is going to be terrific.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
And you can't say that that simulator that you're sitting behind you isn't a cool thing. So when these students are walking up and down, they see that, and literally, like what Richard said, they stumble into it and start asking questions, and they find out, hey, this could be an option in my program as well, and they start up that way, and it opens up their minds to other areas.
Sure.
Yeah, we find we have to do a lot of outreach, particularly to underrepresented communities, because unless your family members involved in aviation, you tend not to know what all the possibilities are, right? So whether it's bringing middle school students here, Boys and Girls Club, scouting, all kinds of, we just had a group, JetBlue brought a group through the other day, about 50 students, and we got cool toys, right? As Dom just said, right? Whether it's an engine or a simulator lab or a UAV or a robot, right? These are all things that students can see and tangibly go, hey, I want to do this, right?
Yeah.
You reminded me of something, Sharon. This is we're not doing this ourselves. Our faculty, you get with industry. We have a lot of partnerships, like with our airlines and the maintenance program. We have partnerships with Delta, Republic, and Devon. Now JetBlue, we're coming out doing something with them now. So it's the opportunities that an institution can have with industry and the regulatory agencies like the FAA. That's all trying to work together to make this big aviation ecosystem something that's safe, something that's reliable, and something that people want to get into.
Absolutely. Let me go to piggyback on that a little bit. I'm going to go to you, Alejandro and Richard. Tell us once again, for example, Alejandro, what are you currently working on and will be for the next several weeks or months?
So currently I'm going to be working on, sorry, they're all yapping back there. Currently I'm going to be working on a multi-rotor copter drone for the VFS competition, and my president Justin is going to be working on a fixed wing drone for the AIAA competition. Like I said, we're still in the design phase, so just rough.
Is the multi-rotor drone kind of like an eVTOL, like air taxi, only a drone? Is it that when you say multi-rotor, you mean like 4 or 5 rotors?
Yeah, when I say multi-rotor, it's like more than so a helicopter is a single rotor, and then
or
anything
twin
more than that, or twin rotor. the V-22 Osprey would be considered a twin rotor, and then anything more than that would be a multi-rotor. I don't know if any professionals want to correct me in that.
But I'll cut you some
field.
slack.
Okay. But a multi-rotor in my case is usually 4 or more rotors on a drone-like aircraft or UAV. Currently, our old design consisted of 6, so it's a hexacopter, but we're gonna size it down to like the quad, which is just regular 4, because we have to carry sandbags for this competition to like put out fires, rotations.
That's fantastic that you guys do that kind of, simulation and everything. Yeah. That's really great. Richard, how about you specifically? What are you going to be working on the next few? I know you said you're preparing for a competition, but can you give us a little bit more detail about your specific
100%.
project without
100%.
giving away secrets?
Yeah,
be careful, Richard.
So I give like a general idea of what I'm doing. I won't be specific about it, but I'll give you a general idea though. So I have we're going to 24-inch bot, right? Basically, we're designing it to where we can hold roughly a large amount. I want to give a specific number. A large amount of these balls into our robot, right? And then we can score them in large quantities, basically. And I am building the intake for it and the extra for it. I'm almost done with it, and then we got to code it, right? We got to code it, and then we got to code it, and then we got to test it out on the field.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, let me go to, because we're going to be running out of time in a bit, and there's a phase I like to do in this that everybody likes to hear. And I'm going to start with you, Richard. Your peers, somebody your age or younger in high school or something like that. What would you tell them about Vaughn? What would you tell them about opportunities in aviation?
I'll tell them if you want to go to opportunities, come here. Honestly, if you're big into engineering, if you want to do anything with planes, if you want to be like a mechanic, honestly, just come here. Honestly,
yeah. Go ahead.
I've been honored. I've been greatly blessed to have 2 years free. There's other opportunities for you. I know there's like C-STEP program, other programs like that. I know what other programs there. It's slipping my mind, but I just know there's a lot of programs, a lot of opportunities. And
what advice would you give them to succeed at Vaughn?
Oh, to succeed? Oh, easy. Join robotics or UAV. Mostly join robotics, honestly.
Okay, that's simple, huh? How about you, Alejandro? What would you recommend to people, your peers or younger, about a school like Vaughn and about a career in aviation?
I would say be involved in the extracurriculars. It kind of keeps a lot of the stuff you learned in classes fresh in your head. Because something I like to say is part of my script when I'm talking to freshmen or new people who come to the club, especially engineers, that a lot of the classes are co-curricular when it comes to the clubs. So things you learn in the clubs, you learn in class, and if you don't learn them in class, you'll learn them in the clubs. So I would say just be involved so you don't forget anything, because a lot of the reason we forget things we learn is because we don't use it. It's like a tool rusting in the shed.
Well said. I'm taking advantage again of the 2 young ladies to chime in on what Richard and Alejandro have just said. And I want to start with you, Elvira. What would you recommend to your peers and young people about a career in aviation in Vaughn?
I would say really take advantage of the industry and people in the industry that want to sew into you. Like, I often get a lot of people that come up to me at different conferences. I'm really involved with our EEE, and they're like, hit us up. And no one ever really takes them up on that. It's pretty rare that you actually do contact those people that are willing to help you. But when you do, you can sometimes I'll just call someone like, hey, I have an aviation question, and they'll answer it to me. And then there's a relationship that's established that can continue. So take advantage of the leaders in the industry that are willing to invest in you. Not even just through relationship.
That's really great advice. How about you?
I think the best advice is that networking happens right here at Vaughn itself. We have people from the airlines just walking around the halls, getting to know the students, and that's the best way to get yourself out there before you even graduate, before you even enter the airlines.
Okay, you guys can go back to class.
Yeah, one of the things we learned last January, we did some focus groups with students to better understand what attracted and retained them at Vaughn. And they told us, they said, you know, you talk about industry connections, but we didn't really understand how connected we could be to industry until we came here. You're actually not making a big enough deal about that. And because we are a specialized institution, for instance, last week, and Elvira did a fireside chat with the president and CEO of One World Alliance, as well as his executive team. Talked to their customer service person, their communications and marketing person, their CFO, right? And then students went up and connected with folks that were here for the panel. You know, the president of the One World Alliance, which is 15 different airlines, right, that do code sharing and partnerships and things like that. Those are the kind of opportunities you get at institutions like Vaughn.
Yeah. Steve, how about you? What would you tell young people, when you talk to young people in high school or even in college, and they're trying to figure out what they want to do, and aviation they've either discovered or haven't?
I think we discussed that earlier, Vince, you and I, but there's so many opportunities in the aviation field. There's technicians, there's administrative people, there's air traffic controllers, there's pilots, there's mechanics, and there's engineers. Engineers are designing the new programs, the new systems, as the current administration is trying to get funding for these new systems. They're going to have to be built by someone. So they're going to need all these people, these engineers, to come in and do all that stuff and put it all together and actually make it work. The other thing I did want to add, since we're talking about outside relationships, because of where we are in the airspace that we're underneath, we have relationships with the managers at LaGuardia Tower, the local towers. We have many visits to LaGuardia Tower with our students. They get to see it up front. And with the New York TRACON, since many of us have worked there, we do trips out to the New York TRACON. And our other instructor, George Tracy, has relationships at New York Center. So it's not just the four walls of the simulator. You do the simulator, but then you get to see it in real. And I think when they do that, they're quite shocked as to what they actually see.
So you guys do field trips?
Oh, yeah,
we do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not just the four walls.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You take the students out to see things in action.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do airports, we'll do manufacturers. Yeah, students, absolutely. Safe Flight, you know, an avionics repair station up at White Plains. These are all places that students might not otherwise get to see, but because of our industry connections, those companies are very willing to open their doors and say, yeah, bring them in. We'll give them a firsthand look at what it's like to work, because they know that's their way to get them to be employees, right? Which is great. That's fine. Totally fine. That's why the other side of that is why we have such awesome faculty members to draw from. To Steve's point, right? Somebody who's worked the traffic, the head of the CEO for USAIG and aviation insurance teaches for us. John Golia, a former NTSB member, teaches for us. The former FAA Eastern Regional Council teaches for us, right? Dom's program is filled with active airframe and power plant technicians working across the street who bring all that knowledge and industry expertise right into the classroom. That's the advantage of Vaughn.
Dom, that's your cue.
Well, I'm gonna jump back and say course corrections. Don't be afraid of them as you go through your career here. There's
Great
a lot of
point.
opportunities for students. You know, I've done a lot of course corrections in my life. I'm a person that says there's no such thing as a mistake as you go forward. It's just the road. You're gonna be on it. Enjoy the road.
Yeah, no, I think that's a real big one, you know, because the path isn't straight, and
Right.
young people don't usually realize that until they're in it, and then they go, oh. But if you keep your eye on the ball, or keep your eye on the target, or keep your eye on the goal, then you will eventually get there. You may run into a few road bumps, but you'll make it. So I tell you what, you guys have some students that we've had on this show that are really impressive, and I know they're all going to fall into some good gigs after they finish their training here and everything. They say, "Yeah, Vince, make that happen, okay, please." But no, they are. I'm really glad I actually pulled the two young ladies that are doing the air traffic simulator, because this rounds it out to show you just the product of what comes out of a school like Vaughn College. So this is really great. I like to do a kind of a closeout, what I call an around the room. I will start it with the students first. I'm going to start with you, Alejandro. Any final thoughts about your career, about being in aviation, about what you're doing and what you want to do in the future?
Currently, I'm in this like tunnel vision state, so I'm just looking forward to the competition and getting the drone done, finishing the letter of intent and the final technical report. I'm also looking forward to the SHEP convention as well, to start networking and get some offers. That's pretty much where my head's at the moment. Not too far into the future, and not too much into the present.
Sounds good. Richard?
Well, I gotta kind of agree with Alejandro here. I'm like focus on the competition that's coming up, and also focus on upcoming internships I'm trying to grab this summer.
Okay, that's straightforward, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. Dom, any final words of wisdom?
So this is a career. You'll never stop learning. So don't think that's ever going to go out of your head. I find myself watching YouTube videos and on electronics all the time, figuring stuff out, and just keep your brain active in this. The more you know, the better you are.
Your president's laughing, so she must be watching some YouTube videos too.
He sends them to me.
Yeah. Steve?
Oh, I just believe that Vaughn is in the right. It's in the right place, and I think for students to come and visit and see what we have to offer. As Richard said, he came from his high school, and I remember visits from Freeport High School, and we get students all the time from different high schools, and they come in and they know nothing about our program, and then they
end up excelling.
They want to. Do you want to come back and talk for a few minutes? And some of them don't want to leave.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good thing.
Sharon, take us home, please.
Yeah, I mean, this is the faculty and staff at this institution work really hard to create an environment that is transformative for our students. I am fortunate to know many of our students on a firsthand basis, and it is a privilege and an honor to walk beside them and see them be incredibly successful. And so many of us have stayed for so long because it's like a drug now, right? We can't give it up. We just
aviation is a drug.
It's true. We just feed on the energy and enthusiasm and success that our students and graduates have. And that's what makes this community so incredibly special.
Well, it is an incredible school. You guys have it's an incredible aviation education institution. I'm always impressed with your students, your staff, and everything here. They even make a good ham and cheese in
the cafeteria.
No, it really is, and you guys have a little bit of everything, and you're continuing to add things and grow and that type of thing. So I think it's great, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to showcase you a little bit and let people know that, if you're thinking New York or the New York area, ta-da.
It's a great space. Yeah, thank you so much, Vince, especially since this is your second time here. We count you as part of one of us too.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. No, it's been a pleasure. Listen, thanks guys. And I really wish everybody the best. The students, I wish you all the best with your careers moving forward. And, yeah. All right. Well, this has been another edition of All Things Aviation and Aerospace, designed to enlighten and inspire the next generation of aspiring young aviation professionals. All Things Aviation and Aerospace is a production of Private Air Media Group, executive produced by yours truly, Vince Mickens. I welcome you to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, as well as like the links on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. It's my hope that the knowledge you gain from this show will further your interest in this very great industry. Until next time, please stay safe, stay flying if you're a pilot like me, and blue skies. Take care, everybody. All right, guys, we're good. Thank you very much. That was great. You all did great. So appreciate
Thank
it.
you, especially to the students that I know
Yes.
gave up a lot of time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, the UAV
Thank
room
you,
is
ladies,
packed
for
right
chiming in at the last minute.
I know I could tell you're trying to beat down the noise in their house. Great. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Signing off.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.